Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. I realized I was watching the Stefan Molyneux live stream over on X, because he's back on X. It's like, I need to stream. So if you're hopping over from that, I appreciate it. I won't be able to pay any more attention to him. Check out this cool Cerberus toy my son has. Isn't this cool? That's a cool toy. I like that toy. Okay, quick announcements. Patreon, if you are a patron, if you are a paying member of Patreon, I think it's all paying members. Free book. Technically, this free book has been there, but it's been in the form of a series of posts because I wrote this book. Let me, hold on, let's get, there we go. Okay, here it is. This is a standing cover. I'm going to have Jesse White or someone like that do a real cover. So this is just a standing cover. It's not AI art, for those of you who care, right? I've used AI art for real covers before. I've done it live on the stream. So always happy to have those discussions, whether it's bad to use AI art or I should just use stock photos. But I can't always afford to hire an artist, especially for something where there's, this is a rough draft. This is not a full release. So it's those posts, which I posted serially. So I published the entire book, which is, it's a full-length novel. I published it serially, so instead of having to go through all those posts, you can just read a complete document. So that's what's up with that. The other one is Afterglow Generation Y is free on Amazon for today, and I think tomorrow. So that'll be the last day. It is #1 in literary short stories. Not a particularly competitive category, I imagine. But I appreciate everybody who grabbed a free copy of it, and I hope you will enjoy that book. Music channel, don't forget the music channel. I finally put out a new piece. Here it is. It's me playing during. This was 4 inches of rain we got while I was recording this, or it's only 17 minutes, so if we got 4 inches of rain over about 4 or 5 hours, so we're getting like an inch of rain per hour. This was really crazy, and like the water was actually like splashing on my back during this too, which is pretty fun. So you can check that out. I always like recording on my patio, this kind of stuff. I think it's a lot of fun, and it produces, I would say, a pretty unique product. I don't know too many people who can do what I do live and are willing to just kind of like do it in a weird place. I've seen a couple other channels do it. I want to go out and do some more in the forest, maybe. Do some forest solo guitar stuff. But anyway, there's that. So do check out the music channel. That's linked down below. Awesome. VA Boston got his signed book today. Hopefully you liked the personalization. I personalized every single book. I drew something in it. I wrote something in it. In one case, I wrote like an essay because someone asked for an essay. So I wrote a whole essay on like the themes of the book. Or a short essay, I should say, and drew a map, right? Drew some ravens or some dragons or some sea serpents or something else, right? So I personalized every one of those books. I'm still waiting to ship a couple because some people haven't given me their address. So I'll be trying to track people down to get those addresses in the next however long. I'm going to turn that down a little bit because it feels like loud coming at my face here. And it's a big thunderstorm song. Pretty fun. Anyway. So, yeah, that's the announcement. Afterglow's free. Do grab it. And for all patrons, you get a much easier way to read Prince of Dusk, which I was calling Prince of Twilight for a while, because I can't use Twilight again. Just can't use that word. And I'm like, Prince of Dusk sounds more sinister anyway, so I like that title. I'm going to go with that title. And we will... Where's the cover? Here it is. This is the standing cover. Kind of evokes the mood, especially when you get to like the fairy kingdom, right? The mountain kingdom. It'll be kind of interesting. So I wrote that one live. I might start another one today, depending on how I feel about things and how people are feeling about things, the way things are going. just to, you know, I don't like to get too personal, but I'll tell you, I've had like a lot of interesting things, coincidences happen last week. So I mentioned I was watching Stefan Molyneux over on X. If you follow me, I just reposted that stream, so you can follow him here. He got completely deplatformed a couple years ago, and so he was just on his own platform. And I didn't follow him too closely off of this platform, other than like his mailing list and occasionally going by the website, because a lot of it was kind of a call-in show, and I didn't always like that format. It's not that I don't like the format. I don't have time for like really long shows. And I also felt like after digesting a lot of his content, a lot of his videos and his books, I can almost predict what he might say. So you get this, especially with the call-in shows, I started getting frustrated because I'm like, people are calling in and they should know what he's going to say. It's like asking your dad about something. It's like, you should know what your dad is going to say. You're just kind of hoping he'll say something different. You have maybe like a hope for a different answer that would be more to your liking, is what I remember a lot. And I was just like, I can't, it's too mentally occupying to listen to that too often. I realized my daughter put like some kind of weird gem in my little light here. It looks very funny. But he came on and he did this thing about Scott Adams, right? And he went back, one of his first videos was like, you're basically an exercise for living in the moment, realizing you're going to die. Because Scott Adams is terminally ill. He will pass away probably pretty soon. He says he'd be lucky to make it through the summer. And of course, you know, we always hope for more life for him and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's an importance to engaging with reality on matters of health and length of life and stuff like that. And in fact, this is one of the themes of King Leper. Maybe I have a copy over here. Hey, if you didn't back the pre-order, no big deal. If you didn't back the Kickstarter... Whoa! There goes my bookend, and it broke. Boy, that is a real pity. My wife bought me that. That's very unfortunate. That's like the second time that's happened, though. I have so many books, they're knocking over the bookends. That's what happens. That's what happens. Anyway, if you didn't get the Kickstarter version, the special edition, that's okay. You can pre-order the ebook, and the regular physical versions, the blue edition, I'm calling it, that will come out in July. So July 25th is what I have for that, and that's so I can line it up maybe with some other promotions. I find it's really good to line up as many things as possible when you're like focusing on social media. So if I can have a Kickstarter for Prince of Dusk, and then I can have pre-order for King Leper, and you know, just do everything at once in July, then it just, and everything amplifies, it multiplies together. So you get more money from YouTube revenue, you get more subscribers on Patreon, you get more YouTube subscribers, you get more followers on X, you get people buying your back catalog off of Amazon, you get people pre-ordering the new book and buying the new book, right? So everything kind of goes together. It all multiplies together. So I did a postmortem on that strategy. I did say I was going to take my foot off the gas, and I have done that, and just kind of took care of some of my other obligations. Anyway, so that's out of the way. Let me show you the bookend. It's a dragon, and we lost the horn. We lost the horn right here. So I'm going to try gluing that back on. But as you can, maybe some of you can see, we already lost one at some point, because these they're felt bottomed. I might take the felt off and put like some rubber feet or something on there. You need something grippy for something like this, I think. It's maybe like a design flaw. It's like, oh, this won't scratch your shelves or your table. However, it also will not hold your books up, apparently. Anyway, very, very nice little thing. I'll see if I can find the horn and fix it. It's funny, me taking this out is what caused that collapse. But I have so many books, they like don't even fit back there anymore, right? Just as an aside, I mean, I'm going on many different tangents here, but you know, I had my birthday recently, and one of the things I made a point to tell some people about was like, I've written a lot of books at this point, more than what most people can write in the years that I've written, and I've recorded albums, and I've done all this work, and I've produced all these videos and done all this stuff. I don't have a lot of time to do this stuff. I spend very little time on my work, but it's consistent. So if you put in consistent, focused effort, over time, you end up generating things. And the point is to do it every day. The more consistent you are with whatever effort you're doing, whether it's working out or having a proper diet, or it's writing books, or it's playing music, whatever you're doing, the more consistent you are with that, the more output, the better the outputs are over time. So if you want a lean body, it's just a matter of eating the right food over a long period of time, and then your body will be lean. If you want to be strong, it's a matter of training your body over a long period of time, right? So I think too many people take stock of the moment and don't look at like, I do these things every day. Right? What they instead do is they have goals, they have ideas, they have big ideas for things they want, but they never articulate that down into, this is a thing I do every day that will eventually produce that. So write your 1,000 words a day, write your 2,000 words a day, whatever it's going to be, and then a book will come out of that, right? That's that. I wrote a whole book on that. It's called Keys to Prolific Creativity. Everybody gets it for being a member of Patreon. So I'm very thankful for everybody supporting me with that. You can also just buy it on Amazon. I'll link it real quick. Hold on. Where is it? It's kind of fun because I have a list of links. That's every book that I've come out with, either written and published or published, with other authors or whatever. And that one used to be at the bottom, and now it's only halfway through. It's only halfway through the list. That's cool. So I wrote that book on that. Yeah. So it's about doing it every day. Now, going back, Stefan Molyneux came back in. He did this video on dying and like how Scott Adams is dying and you need to live right now, live in the moment, stuff like that. To me, that's part of what living in the moment means. It's like, what are you doing today? Do that thing today and do it really well, right? Don't just make a vague plan to do something. You just do it, say, oh, well, I want to get in shape. Well, just go do something for your body today and then continue doing that as best you can. And over time, it'll yield what you want. But he's like, don't put it off. Write the book, do the thing, ask the girl out. And that's all true and good advice. I also had a couple of people in my life die the day before yesterday. So my Aunt Dee Dee died. Now, she had suffered from rheumatoid arthritis for a very long time, and she was in end-stage rheumatoid arthritis. So her life was one of pretty significant suffering towards the end of her life. Her bones were fused. She couldn't really hold things. If you've ever known anyone that had significant rheumatoid arthritis, it's an extremely painful condition. And I think hers arose partially as a result of her getting some kind of cancer treatment 15 or 20 years ago, maybe. And this began kind of one of the consequences is her immune system was going haywire and attacking her joints. So she'd been in a very long period of suffering. And so, she died. It's not a sudden death. My father had a sudden death, but this was like almost a relief in a sense. She had some sort of cardiac event, but she had definitely suffered for a long time. And while you're always, you're sorry when people go, you're also not that sorry when their suffering is finally able to end, because it's also a relief at that point that person's no longer experiencing that kind of intense and constant pain. Another one was my friend's wife died the day before yesterday. And she had been dealing with cancer for about 8 years, all told. She was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was pregnant with her second son. And they managed to treat her while she was pregnant. Everything was okay. It went into remission. 4 or 5 years later, maybe, it came back. And my understanding was like she was having some issues, and doctors weren't really taking them seriously. And I don't want, my memory on that's kind of hazy, but it's like, turns out it had spread to her lymphatic system, so it had metastasized, and so it came back. They did their best. She did her best to treat the cancer and prolong her life, but it was a big struggle, right? She was wheelchair bound for a lot of that time. The chemotherapy was very hard on her. So again, that's a thing where like, you try your best, but the reality is a lot of times it's not gonna work, right? And I think of Scott Adams being terminally ill. It's not, you needed to try the ivermectin. He's like, I tried the ivermectin with my doctor. He's like, it's not going to work, but the downsides are pretty low, so just try it. And no, it didn't work. It's okay. It didn't work. And so this is actually one of the themes of King Leper, and I wrote an essay in somebody's book because they asked me to. They told me to briefly hint at the themes. I said, no, I'm going to tell you what's up. Right, is that sometimes you try to fix something, and some things are unfixable. And that doesn't mean, or the thing you try to do to fix it fails. That doesn't mean you don't try, and it doesn't mean the effort was in vain. We fail at lots of things in life, right? If I come out with a book, like I think of Prophet of the Godseed, one of my early books, I consider it one of my biggest failures, although technically it's a really good selling book, but I think that's because it's just been out for almost 10 years at this point. I think I'm coming up on the 10th anniversary. I might be on the 10th anniversary of, no, that came out in 2016. So next year will be the 10th anniversary of me as an author. I will have been doing this for 10 years. Because Muramasa was, I believe, the first real book I published. Anyway, it was a big failure. I had all these expectations. It was a book one in a series. I had all of these episodic adventures planned out that I had worked on with my brother-in-law, who had kind of created the universe with me and the characters. And, you're waiting for the book to sell and nobody buys it. They're not interested in it. So you get disappointed, right? Should I not have written that book? I mean, I could say like it was suboptimal for me to write that book because I know the outcome of writing the book, but I tried to do something new and interesting. And just because it fails doesn't mean that you don't try, right? You try to do those things. So it's the same thing with a lot of the stuff in King Leper, right? Is that you have several characters that have major afflictions, and they're looking for ways to fix those afflictions. And the means by which they're going to fix the afflictions, maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll work in a way that they didn't anticipate, and they have to reevaluate what that means. That doesn't mean it's not worth the effort, just because things don't come out the way that you want them to come out. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but that puts some things into perspective, which is like, are there things, and it's good to think about this every once in a while. I think birthdays are a great time to reflect because, you turn older, so it's like New Year's, you step over a threshold into a new age. When you turn 40, I turned 42, it doesn't matter. These are just numbers, but they're good moments to reflect because you can take that reflection, and it can inform your future decisions. So you have to ask yourself, okay, hopefully most of you you're young, you're healthy. What do you want to do with your youth and your health? Stefan had this thing, like it's a mental exercise. Imagine yourself at 85 and you're dying. How valuable would it be to come back and be yourself at 30 and have all of the energy and power strength and intellect that you had at 30 and direct it towards something rather than waste it. It would be just like an invaluable prize. And if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, would you rather have $100 million but if you're going to die tomorrow? It's like, no, I would rather not die tomorrow, right? It's like your tomorrow is worth infinity to most people. There are people who would take the 100 million for their family or something like that. But, most people, if it was just by yourself, right? Like you can't do anything with 100 million when you're dead. So it's better to have the life. Life is more important. So anyway, it's a good time to reflect. Like, are there things that were on my bucket list that I haven't done? What was on my bucket list? Well, there's a couple things that I think are on my bucket list, and maybe you have some stuff on your bucket lists too. I should really respond to chat. I will in a minute, just after I say a couple things. And so I had to think like creatively. I haven't finished what I've wanted to do creatively, not in terms of literature, right? King Leper's book 3, but there's several more books in that mainline series that I want to publish. And I have several more Moonsong books that I want to publish. And I have so many ideas for where to take that and things I want to say through those characters and through those places and all of that kind of stuff. There's so much that I still have yet to say. At the same time, there's other things that I haven't done, right? That I always wanted to do, like creatively. I never recorded the metal album, right? I was working on this metal album with my roommate. We were writing songs. When your life is continually falling apart in your 20s, it's kind of hard to get things creatively going. That's one of the reasons I became a classical guitarist, is I can rely on me, myself, and I can do it by myself. I don't need anyone else along for the ride. Well, now I'm pretty proficient enough with my studio work that I feel like I don't need anyone else along for the ride. So is it time to pull the trigger on that? I've hinted at the game, right? Is it time to pull the trigger on the game? Right? Just do a visual novel or something like that. I'm good at strategizing for how to get into an industry and learn that business. Is it time for that? And so it's things that I have to think about, right? It's like, what's the bigger priority? What thing am I going to regret not doing? And then there's a couple of trips. Lots of people like to travel, but there's really only a couple of trips that I've ever cared about. And one of them is going to Rome, right? So I'm going to try to figure out some way to take my family, go on a pilgrimage to Rome, right? That's a big one. To see the architecture and the art and the Vatican and all that kind of stuff. That's a big one. My mom, after she went to Jerusalem, because that was like on her list, and she didn't do that till after my dad died. And I thought about that as like, that may have given her some impetus, like, okay, I'm not so old I can't do this. I'm young enough to do this. I think it was her first year of retirement. She took this trip to Israel to go to the Holy Land, right? It's great. But my dad died. He was killed on the job. So he never got to do something like that. Whatever was on his bucket list, hopefully he got it done before he was taken off of this mortal earth. And if it wasn't, well, it wasn't. So lots of things lining up. On my birthday, people are dying on my birthday. It's important. I think about the blacksmith from Berserk. If you guys haven't read Berserk, there's this blacksmith, Godo. He's giving this speech about how he just like blinked and became an old man. And he's like, I always enjoyed doing what I was doing. I liked seeing the sparks. And it's just focusing on the moment. And then before you know it, you're old because you're focusing on the moment. Maybe sometimes we focus too much on the moment. Maybe we need to think about those big things. And those big things can redirect what you do with those moments. So if I decide, hey, I'm going to record a metal album. If I'm going to be serious about it, that means completely reorienting my creative process directed towards that. I'm not going to be writing. I'm going to stop writing the books and just focus on that. At the same time, I have like books sitting around that I haven't published. Those need work. So, it's hard to balance. Like, should I first try to clear off the back queue of books I haven't published, or should I keep those in reserve and maybe publish them later? because they're not ready for publication. They need to be edited, and in some cases just finished. In some cases, significantly rewritten. Maybe I hate to use the word rewrite because I almost never rewrite. If I have to rewrite something, like if I have to rewrite a book, then that just kills my motivation to do that story. I'd rather think up a new story that's just better. Because having rewritten movie scripts, I can't imagine doing that with a novel, which is a much more significant undertaking than a movie script. Movie scripts are very easy and quick to write compared to an actual novel, just so people know. Just fewer words, less to think about. You have to really execute prose correctly and well for a novel to work, and you just don't have to worry about that with the screenplay. It doesn't matter. All right. Sorry, let's take a look at the chat. Yours is the only writing book I've bought multiple times as gifts. Very practical, even for experienced writers. Thank you. That's the pitfall of New Year's resolution. Schedule a goal for a future date you have no intention of committing to. Yeah. What you should do is I want to get in shape this year. It's well, you have to go to the gym. Start with today. You have to do something. It's it's too late to go to the gym. Do 3 sets of push-ups. Go walk around the block. Make yourself do that one first thing. The next step will be easier. Tomorrow it's okay, I'm going to build on that. I walked around the block. Today, I'm going to jog around the block, or I'm going to do some push-ups, or whatever you get. I'm going to do some lunges in the yard. Doesn't matter. I take my kids out. We do PE. We do weightlifting. We do all that stuff. And it's lots of fun, So yeah, you got to do that first step. It's like the people are crammed in the gym in January, and come February, they're not there anymore. They just fall off the wagon because they don't really care about it. They're not interested in habituating it. And they're living in the wrong kind of moment. They're not living in the moment of, these are the things that I do every day, and they're like part of me. They're living in the moment of, I want ice cream, and I deserve ice cream, so I'm going to get ice cream. I'm tired. I'm too tired to go to the gym. That's what kills people. So they get busy in February. I'm too tired to go to the gym. Then you're too tired to be thin. You're too tired to have muscle. I deserve a donut. You deserve to be fat then. To be harsh about it. But that's what it is. It's almost like the devil is speaking in our ears. The devil frames things in a way that's it's just one donut. And I can know that it's just one donut. I've eaten some cake and stuff. It's my birthday, right? I ate cake. If I really wanted to be, no cake, I'm going to be shredded. I'm going to drop down. You know what I mean? But I think it's okay to have a cake piece every now and then. The problem is most people don't do that. They say, I deserve a piece of cake. And the next day they're like, I deserve some M&Ms. And the next day they're like, I deserve a donut. And the next day they're like, I deserve a milkshake. It's you don't deserve to be thin if you're eating the treat every day. If you're eating the huge treat every day, right? So anyway, you see it a lot. Sorry for your losses. Yeah, thank you. Not so much my losses, right? My aunt, I loved her. Her daughter, that's the person who's dealing with the bigger loss, but her daughter was also her caretaker for a long time. So if you've never been in this situation where somebody who's been very ill for a long time dies, a lot of times there's a guilt because you feel a relief. You're like, I don't have to care for this person anymore. This burden that's kind of just dragging you, it's dragging a weight across the floor all the time. Caring for somebody who's seriously ill, it's gone, and then you could feel this guilt because it's well, I don't have to pick this person out of bed every day. I don't have to attend to their personal needs. I don't have to make them food anymore. And I've, maybe you've had a taste of that in your life. I had a taste of it with a dog, which is nowhere near to what it's like to actually care for a human, but you get a taste of it, which is this dog required me to give her cough medicine pretty often. And so she would cough in the middle of the night. I'd have to wake up and go get her cough medicine and a treat. But that act of caring for her made me really love her. And when it was time for her to go, it was this relief of I don't have to be so focused on trying to make this dog comfortable at the end of her life. I can just move on, and it was a thing where we knew where the line was, and she stepped across that line, which meant it was time to say goodbye. You know how it is. You guys know how it is. You can't do that with people. People persist. you know, extreme unction and all that. So it's a lot harder. You know, everything else is going well. Got a new guitar. Actually, I got two new guitars recently. So I'm very blessed. And I got a little money from my mom for my birthday, because my mom loves me. And she's a great boomer. She's a good boomer. I talk about the boomer generation. Most boomers are good. It's just everybody ends up with like a bad boomer story, because there's always like one or two that act like the stereotype. But my mom's not that way. So she's always been generous and kind. She loves spending time with our kids, watching my kids. She loves that. She just loves it. She loves her grandkids so much. It's just such a phenomenal blessing. But anyway, she gave me some money. So I was like, you know, the kind of person I normally am is I would take that money and I'd save it. I go, okay, we're going to use it for a utility thing, right? I'm going to use it to to put a new roof on the house, or to contribute to that, because it wasn't that much money. But like, I bought a guitar pedal. I bought a guitar pedal that I'd been wanting to buy literally for months and hadn't bought, because it's a synth pedal. And I'm like, I already have synths. So do I need a synthesizer? I don't, but I really want one I could play with my guitar. And it's a really cool pedal. It's the Maris Enzo. So I bought it. I was like, I'll have an anxiety attack over spending money on something. I do it every time, not like a full-blown panic attack that people have to be hospitalized for, but you know, I get significant anxiety whenever I buy a thing for myself. I had it with a guitar. I bought 2 guitars. I had anxiety about it, even though we could afford them and they weren't that expensive. It's like the me from 2010 that has lost all his money and is completely broke because of all the things that happened after 2008 to me and to everybody else as well. But like, to me, bad things happen, right? Where every dollar is like a scarce thing and you have to be really careful about how you spend it. I loved Steam sales because that was my only entertainment. If I could buy a game for $2, that was like the cheapest entertainment that I could possibly buy. So I loved Steam sales back then, and I still love them. But now, because my time is like the limited quantity, it's more limited than my money anyway. I just like the attraction of like, this game's only $5 on Steam. It's like, but is it worth my time? Is it going to give me a really good experience, or is it going to be crap? You know, it doesn't matter how cheap the game is if it's not going to be fun to play, right? But anyway, the mindset still persists, even when you encounter abundance and you're no longer worried about where you're going to get money to do really basic things. It takes a long time to deprogram yourself from that. You know what I mean? And I make myself like give money away, like donate money, because that's a thing that's like, I never felt secure to like donate money for a long time. And it's like, you need to make yourself do that. Your logical part of your brain needs to be okay doing that and know that that's something that you're allowed to do and that you can do and that you can help people with your money. Okay. You know what I mean? Supposedly low doses of borax can cure arthritis and osteoporosis. There's an article about it called The Borax Conspiracy by Walter Last. Interesting. So borax is a really common chemical. You can use it as a detergent booster. You can also... Oh, I'm sorry. Something in there. Oh. Anyway, it's a detergent booster. You can buy it. It's really cheap. You can use it to balance the chemicals in your pool. It's also ant poison. So if you're seeing the little liquid ant baits, you can actually make that yourself. It's just sugar water and borax. So the borax will like gum up their digestive tract and kill them. And it's really effective and extremely safe. All right, if your pet licks up the borax sugar water, it's probably not going to do anything to your dog or your cat, but it will kill the ants. Basically, it kills the larva. It's interesting. I'm too tired to eat this candy bar. I'm going to the gym. Yeah, it's something that Ronnie Coleman said this. Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift these heavy ass weights. Right? Everybody wants the result. They want the body. They don't want to do the work. You know, they don't want to do the work. Yeah, people joining in January, falling off, but not canceling their memberships is how gyms stay in business. Yeah, they buy a year-long membership. Like, I'm really doing it this year, and then they don't do it. I like your most recent videos that talk about past and fandom. So much to consider, especially with what people get wrong about nostalgia. If you like nostalgia, you should read this book. It's called Afterglow, Generation Y. It is a great literary fiction book. It's #1. So there you go. Nostalgia is important. We can recognize that some things were better in the past. Lots of things were better in the past. The media of the past is a meaningful alternative to the media in the present. So if you're not satisfied with media in the present, you can watch media from the past or read books from the past. You don't have to contend yourself with just movies that are coming out now. You can watch classic movies. There's lots of classic movies there's great movies from the 90s that you probably haven't watched, great movies from the 80s and 70s, all the way back that you probably haven't seen. So you can spend your time with those movies instead of buying new schlock. Same thing with books. You can read older books if you want to. But our nostalgia tends to be an attachment to those things, and the way we felt about them. We can't go back. We can't turn now into the 90s. It's not really an option. But what you can do is use that to inform what you're going to do. So if you're going to, if you really like a certain game, the way they find another game that's like that game, or figure out what you were doing and how that game fit into your life. I think of like World of Warcraft. Like, World of Warcraft was a really, really fun experience when it came out. And a big part of why it was fun is that it was very novel. We hadn't seen anything like it. We played with friends and we made friends, so that was great. Well, maybe there's another activity that lets you play with your friends and make new friends. Maybe you need to take up golf. Maybe I should take up golf. I have some golf clubs. So that's a good way of thinking about it. And I go into more emotional stuff in the literary companion, or the literary book, because I think the emotional component's really important to think about and to deal with. Both positive and negative. So nostalgia can be a very positive thing because it can help you to make better decisions about what you're doing now, and to properly evaluate what's coming now. Valuation is a really critical step in creativity. If you're not able to find the value or lack thereof in something, then you're not really going to be able to improve upon it or derive the correct things from it. So being able to look back at stuff that's valuable and knowing why, I think that's really important as well. What's up, Sound Engraver? Hope you're having a good day. After some time going without sugar, sweetened food tastes weird. Like, we can't just watch a new Star Wars movie and assume it's hitting our nostalgic buttons. My Star Wars memories are more specific events, like where I was and what I was doing at the time. Yeah, I feel that way too. I remember going to the theater to see this stuff, all I watch is old TV shows and movies. I just recently discovered a live-action Conan series from the late 90s with Ralph Moeller as Conan. It's decent. Someone did a Kull the Conqueror movie by this axe I rule. I'm trying to remember who it was. Yeah. Anyway. So, I have lots of options to do today. I would love to maybe play a game. I might have to get another monitor hooked up here to deal with the chat, because I tend to play the game full screen. So I might take a break and do that. And or we could start on a new book. It would be kind of the planning phase. I think I already have another Eternal Dream book planned out, so we could take a look at it. Kevin Sorbo, that's right. That's who it was. Thank you. It was Kevin Sorbo. I see old films, shows, and books 20 plus years after the fact. I don't have much nostalgia for anything, yeah. And a lot of stuff is better. Like I said, a lot of older stuff is a meaningful alternative to newer stuff. They're coming out with a remastered version of Final Fantasy Tactics. It's probably going to be pretty good. So for kids who are wanting that deep tactical gameplay, maybe they're wanting something like that, or you're a young adult and you didn't play Final Fantasy Tactics, or you don't have a PS1, or it's too annoying to emulate it, or you want a little bit better presentation, boom, you've got that. And that's probably going to be a better experience than a lot of newer stuff. I know the next closest thing is probably Triangle Strategy, as far as new things. And Triangle Strategy's story is just ass. It's not good. So that disturbs the whole experience of the game. Whereas Final Fantasy Tactics is a really engaging and interesting story. Triangle Strategies is just not good. Gameplay is fun, but the story is not good. And it's not well executed. And the voice acting is really bad too. It's always the same bad voice actors in every game. It's really annoying. That was intended to be Conan the Conqueror with Arnold reprising the role. Interesting. It's interesting how we end up with like these kind of diminished movies. Diminished a little bit. I don't know. Should we write? Should we play a game? That's the question. Tell me in the chat. Should we write or play a game? I'll give you guys a minute. Tell me in the chat. Do we want to start a new book? Do we want to play a game? I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get another monitor to hook up in case you want to play a game. I just don't think I'll need anything. Anyway, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay. Got my little portable monitor. So, we'll look that up real quick. You can get these, they're not too expensive. Kind of folds open, you could use it as a second monitor for your laptop. But I've been just using it. I have like a laptop stand here, that's where I normally put my Wacom drawing tablet. But my kids like to use it to draw and make art. So that is what they are doing with it right now in the other room, in my schoolroom. Uh-oh. Did I just lose the sound? If you know what it probably did, it was probably like a, auto pause, huh? Yes, there it is. Okay. I'm like, oh no! Hi guys, I'm behind this. There it goes. set this guy up. Very convenient. I think this one doesn't support video over USB-C though, which is the newer ones. There's my glasses. You can't see it. You can't see these ports. I put my glasses on, things got all foggy because my glasses are super small. My daughter, who really loves to tease me. Okay, well, I have an extra monitor here. That's nice. Cool. All right, let's see what people say. Go the book, write, game, book. Right, while playing a game. And I'm not going to do more maps for a bit. I drew little maps in like a bunch of people's books, so that was fun. You could do a little of each, too. About an hour. So, a little time to do either one. Boy, this thing, these glasses are smearing. I have to get some alcohol to clean these off. Something here. Oh, I have like a little cleaning cloth. What are we playing? I'll probably play more of that Expedition game, or I might play Oblivion. The Expedition 33 game, I think, is not... It's okay. It's just not my... I'm not super into it. I don't like the gameplay. Whereas Oblivion will be fun, and it will feel pretty fresh because I haven't played it in a long time. And it'll look cool, too. So... Alright, let's do a little bit of writing to start. Let's do a little bit of playing. Let me show you what I'm going to do for planning. Let's see. Let's get this out of the way. Trying to find. I wrote down some notes, some ideas. Probably pretty old, so let me see if I can find them. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can find this long lost planning document. Man, I wrote down a lot of notes, but I can't find it. No, that's not it. Shoot, I don't know where I wrote it. Yeah, I had a lot of notes already. Should really find those ahead of time. Maybe it's a Word document. The commercial. I'm finding an old article I wrote and never published. A propagandized view of debt. Oh, no, that's not it. I'm sorry. I had some good notes that I put aside just for this, and then I can't find them. Oh, that's how it goes. All right. I found some notes. That I wrote down. All right, let's take a look at them. Show you what's up. Let's get this stuff out of here. I do want to do an evaluation for people so that they can, for like some of these, that is a lovely map. Thank you. I drew it. How's the weather in Texas, by the way? It's wet and stormy. Very stormy. It's flooding down in Texas. I wanted to play Spec Ops The Line, but it seems it was pulled from all online stores due to licensing expirations. I swear dead media is more common in the digital age than the physical. Well, you could still get a physical copy of it for like Xbox 360, I presume. And you could probably sail the high seas and find a copy too. I think Spec Ops The Line is a great game. By the way, I'm going to check it just because. I'm going to see. Spec Ops The Line. Store page. Spec Ops The Line is no longer available on the Steam store. .1 hours on record. I think I've played the game twice, so it's a 10-hour game. It's a good game, though. I think it's really fun and a good challenge. That's interesting. It's unfortunate. It had a great set of aesthetics too. The visuals in it looked really cool. It was very unique. When did it come out? 2012. Man, that's proof. Like, you can't increase the fidelity out of bad art direction. Oh yeah, key reselling sites. I don't really know how those work though. All right, let's take a look at. Okay, this planning document. This is just like I wrote down some ideas, for things that I wanted to do here. So I wrote down 6 little parts, right? I was going to take, this was always part of the plan, was Wasting Desert was act 1 of a 5-act, now it's going to be 6-act cycle of a bunch of adventures that these characters have out in the Eastern Empire, doing lots of wacky stuff. So this is a way that I would start with an outline here. And then what I would probably do is just start writing the first couple scenes. And after writing those first couple scenes, I would probably pause. Sorry for the commercial.
It's an incredible life-changing event for the patients that go through it. And it's just a wonderful opportunity.
Okay, there it is. I really am not a fan of ads. Anyway, don't use ad blockers so that I get ad revenue. Anyway. Let's close down some of these windows. Okay, here we go. Hey, what's up, Daryl? Yeah. Well, we talked about it. Like, I have a bunch of riffs in mind that I've recorded. But, like, to do metal... I don't know, maybe it's time to pull the trigger. I'll have you do the drums. So we get a live drummer. If you could play to a click track. To me, it won't be, like, doom enough if there's a click track. You know, like the real good shit from back in the day, there was no click track. The drummer was the click track. But it's hard to do that nowadays, especially if you're like separated by distance. You know, doing things on a modern DAW with a click track, it really kind of makes it easy to pull everything together. But if you listen to like stuff, older stuff, you find that like there's the tempo's looser. It kind of moves and changes a little bit as the band plays, and they kind of groove more. You know, like old Candlemass stuff or Black Sabbath especially. Black Sabbath especially has a lot more groove and like tempo changes within songs and stuff too. I remember maybe it was Jimmy Page or Robert Plant. It was one of the guys from Led Zeppelin was like, for Stairway to Heaven, they wanted to make a song that the tempo changed, that it would like speed up. And the record company had never let them do something like that. They're like, no, you can't have tempos change. That shows you some of the weird orthodoxy that existed back in the 50s and 60s on recordings. That's why Ringo Starr didn't play on some of the Beatles records. They had a studio drummer instead of Ringo Starr because he played with looser time and would speed up and slow down, and you know, so they would have a studio drummer come in and just be that metronome, you know, be really solid on the tempo. All right. Okay, so I would just take this first idea, I would start writing, and then pause, and then write a more detailed outline of this Act 2. Okay, then once that's done, you know, once I'm writing this, these will start to grow. Like you can see, this one's already a lot more detailed because I have a lot of. This one's it's a little harder to execute the end of a thing. So there's a lot more stuff written towards the end of something like this. So let's do this. Let's open a new document. This is going to be Act 2. I don't know what we're going to call this, but this is technically book. I'm not sorry. This is technically book 5 because book 4. I think we're going to do Prince of Twilight as book 4. So let's do a quick title page. We'll just do our little document like this. Layout. Next page. Copyright. Copyright page. Next page. We would have a line and notes. Sometimes I put this at the end, but we can put it at the beginning for this one. And what I'll do is I'll copy this right in here. Let's close this down. I'm going to do an evaluation of Pro Writing Aid, but I don't want to open to write. It's my opinion, that's one of the worst ideas you can have, is to get Grammarly and try to write while Grammarly's open. It will slowly condition you to write like a robot, which is, for fiction writing, is terrible. But it's the same thing with Pro Writing Aid. 90% of its suggestions you should not take. You should ignore them. At least 90%. Commas, use your best judgment. Truth is, there's no hard rule on any comma. All right. This is the idea. Yeah. I think I'm going to combine 2 and 3 into one act. So I'm going to copy this one too. have a list of characters here. Okay. Let's open up our old document. Oh, let me find the old document. Where is it? All these stupid things. All right, here we go. Wasting Desert. So we're gonna make a list of our characters. This is kind of our Act 1. We have one that's dead. We have Alistan, so he's like our protagonist. I gotta like get a better position to write here, even though it's not the best position to see me. Get a little
Lowe's and Home Depot both can't stand when you do this, but there's nothing they can do to stop you.
Back to row. Yes, we have Thokar. Who else is in here? We've got Bartolo died. We have Dataro, who's the like best friend. We have who am I forgetting here? The Dark Elf, Mondal. It's actually from Kerala. I think that's it, right? We have, he's dead. Spell Expedition. All right. Okay. So we're going to start with these guys. Let's take a look at the end of, we can read the very end of our Wasting Desert. To our west. To our east. I realize I just found a mistake. To our east. There we go. Save that. Oh, that's right. The assassin they picked up, Hagen. See, I'm so glad I checked. I forgot. Yeah, they spared him. Yes, the Inferno. Okay, perfect. And we can copy this in later. I'll put it all in one thing. Guild of Clovers has an important part that's in the King Leper book, so. Gerald says he could play to a click and float over it a little bit. Give it more feel. Yeah. It's hard to get that groove of a real live band. I feel one of the problems with a lot of recordings now is they just feel very sterile. It's why I like Dark Throne's recordings, even though the recording quality is technically like crap on a technical level, you know, is that it feels like a real band still. All right. So we got a little bit of our planning done here. I'm going to maybe make a, you know. Here, we can also get our map out. Hold on. Let's get our map. Our big map. Did with these? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Nope, that's not the right map. Here it is. All right, so here's where they are. They go in this way. They're gonna go up to Barakt. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Across the Ash Hills. And they have a quest to go to the Isle of the Dead. Which is not to be confused with the City of the Dead, which is up here. The City of the Dead. In the Foggy Hills. This is like their ancient city, and this is like their modern city. Called the Six Heavens.
stop everything. Olay Super Serum Body Wash moisturizes so well, no lotion needed.
All these ads. Did you already publish your last story you did on LiveWrite? Well, I mean, you can get it on Patreon right now. It's been on Patreon, but I just put it as a, you know, I just put all of the serial posts they're in one document, so you can just read them now. We're going to edit those. Maybe we'll do it live, and then we will do a full... We'll do maybe another special edition hardback of this one. This one's substantially shorter than King Leper, so... yeah. Anyway, so we'll do that one. So it's not out on Amazon. It's only available to patrons. King Leper was also available to patrons last year as well. All right. Let's make this a little bigger so you guys can really see it. Rumble Hotep says he just got his King Leper hardcover. Can't wait to read it. Thank you for ordering it. I appreciate it. Really do.
People everywhere are recommending GoodRx.
My neighbor showed me the app. It helped me save on my kids' allergy pills.
GoodRx.
Have you heard about Ryoko Pro? This is the cutting-edge portable Wi-Fi hotspot that people wish they found out about sooner. With this pocket Wi-Fi, you can simply stay connected whether you're working, traveling, or simply on the go. But why should...
Okay. Time is it? 8:05. This is fun. We've written... How much have we already written? We've already written a bit here. Let's see if we can do 2 pages. It's 1,000 words. It's a good start. This way we can work on this book, on the live streams, and whatever other projects I want to work on, whether it's publishing the old books or whatever we're going to do. I can do that on the off stream. Hey, look at this. Here's our little. Here's my cats. Here's my cats. Aren't they cute? I've got 2 cute little cats here hanging out with me while I play guitar. That's Simba Cat and Eva. Very cute. All right. you hear that some people are now getting banned off YouTube for interviewing someone else who was banned, even if the interview was before the ban? It happened to John A. Douglas. I heard John got a ban, but I didn't know what that was for. But I believe it, you know. That happens. I mean, you're always kind of at the mercy of whoever happens to be working at YouTube. Either the robot, it's like, I don't like working for the robot, but working for a human and their whims might actually be worse. Let's give him a name. So what's a good letter? We haven't used yet. YouTube calls it ban evasion to interview someone who they banned. The issue was John A. Douglas's case. The interview was about a year before when the person he interviewed got banned. Yeah, well, it's not fair. What do you want me to tell you? I'm not sure if I've interviewed anybody that's gotten that's actually gotten banned before. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna rewrite this. All right, we got about 4 more minutes. $1,500 words. A good little start. Just have to do that about 100 more times, and then the book is written. Yep. Well, I mean, 100. Yeah, maybe that's a year's worth. But if I'm doing one for an entire 2 hours, see, we're at the limit right now, then that's about 3,000 words. So you could do that in 30 streams, you know, and be done, because the first 20,000 words of this is already written. If you're doing 2 per week, that's 15 weeks. It's not that much, working just 2 days a week. But I can write, when I'm focused, I can get a lot of words out, you know. Can you link the track you're playing? I really like this one. Yes. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, there it is. That's that. There's that track. That's ambient synth. Here's another one. This one is ambient bass. This one is a bunch of rain tracks. I'm at 99. So track 100, I have something cool planned, but it's going to be a big thing, so that's why the music is slowed down a little bit. So that's probably like my next creative project, to get that one out of the way, get number 100, the solo. I'm going to call it the Solo Symphony for right now. Solo Symphony will be out of the way, and then I can focus on whatever other things I want to do. Okay, all right, I'm out of time. How much did we write? All right, we wrote 1,600 words. Okay, that's good. Good start. I'll stop. I'll go back. We'll outline nice and thoroughly, and then we will we'll get going on this. You know, your books don't require too much editing. If you plan, you won't have to do any major edits. I do quite a bit of editing, but it's like fixing the commas and changing a sentence here or there, rewriting some dialogue that I don't think is nailing the character or communicating things correctly. I don't need to do a lot of structural editing because I have the whole event sequence in mind before I really begin, or it's nailed down fairly early in the drafting process, so I don't really have to worry about that very much. And you know, there's a weird culture with writers where they think that it's some sort of badge of honor to edit your crap into oblivion, and I don't think so. To me, it's like, I've done 7 drafts. I'm like, what are you waiting for, dude? Are you such a bad writer that you can't write a book and release it? And usually it's what they are, is they I don't know, there's a culture of mediocrity, maybe. That people believe that you need to edit everything into oblivion. You need to edit it into the ground. You need to rewrite things 30 times before they're good enough to publish. And that's just not true. They find out their favorite authors just write and publish, you know. Plan, but if you plan from the get-go, then there's less stuff you have to fix after the fact. That's just how it is, you know. So I'm a big proponent of planning. A lot of times I like to begin a book this way, just kind of, I have a rough idea. I'm beginning with some flavor here. I've already written the first act, so I'm just kind of getting back into the flavor of what the Drysenith Empire is like, and that's going to drive a lot of the details from the event sequence that we're going to hash out. So that's that. Thanks, guys. I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Let me link everything before I go. I have it all here. Okay. If you are a patron, you get Prince of Dusk. There's a Prince of Dusk full document, so you get all of the posts. This is still an unedited book as far as I'm concerned, and there's a bunch of little things I'm going to change. But it's still pretty fun to read, and there's going to be some inconsistencies that I haven't ironed out. It's unedited, so keep that in mind if you take a look at it. There will be errors, spelling errors, different kinds of stuff. I may replace it later with something that has more, I don't know, quickly proofread or something, but we'll do the actual editing. Maybe we'll do it live so that I could show you this editing process in a longer book. And then King Leper pre-order. So pre-order King Leper, please. If I can link it here. Yep, if I don't plan, that's when I have to rewrite. So you're either outlining at the beginning or you're outlining after the fact. And I think it's a lot better to outline when you begin. That's my opinion. Okay. And Afterglow is free, so get Afterglow as well. Here it is. Yeah, I can edit it live a little bit for you guys if you want. Maybe we'll split. We'll do some drafting and editing, kind of split it up. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a great, great day. I don't know if there's anything else I need to link. The Substack. Substack.com. I'm going to put some flat ones on this bass that I'm playing in this track. Anyway, guys, take it easy. I'll see you next time.